Tommy Bolin was a master of volume, frequency, electricity. He was a blues cat and a rock cat and a fusion cat all mixed together, but loved the volume, frequency, electric world of what he could get into with sounds, sound effects, and volume. It only happens when you find a certain frequency to make things feedback and ring. Again, he loved Jimmy. Maybe not as much as Stevie Ray Vaughan. I don't know anybody loves Jimmy more than Stevie Ray Vaughan. But Tommy had a lot of power. And because he was coming off a hot record with Billy Cobham called Spectrum, Billy was hot. Found a way to bring the funk into the fusion world. Then he made his own album, and I was very lucky to be on the album, a jam called Marching Powder, cut live in Jimi Hendrix's studio. And my drums were where Mitchell's drums used to be, in the corner there. Same spot I was for Visions of the Emerald Beyond. I'm back in that same corner again. And right across, David Sanborn, Stanley Sheldon on bass, and Tommy, and I want to say Jan Hammer's there. And maybe the first time I actually played live with Jan Hammer on a song called Marching Powder, and Sammy Figueroa on congas. And again, I didn't know the song. Tommy showed us one time, all these breaks and all the different turns in 7, whatever they were. And I just had to memorize it, and maybe record it and memorize it real quick and then cut it. It was done in a matter of an hour or two. But I'm proud of that jam with Tommy. So much so, Tommy says, well, I'm going to be going on the road. I said, I want to go on the road with you. He said, you do? I said, yeah. So much so, when I was jamming with Joe Zawinul with Weatherport, my conversation with Tommy was in my head about going on the road with Tommy. So I had joined Weatherport to go with Tommy. And we had a good time. Going on the road with Tommy Bolin was great. Reggie McBride on bass, Norma Jean Bell on sax from Detroit, who'd also worked with Mahavishnu Orchestra. Of course, Reggie McBride had done some work with Stevie Wonder and Stevie's recordings. On organ, the phenomenal genius of Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge, who was your big inspiration to me with that music. And then, of course, Tommy and myself. And we toured, and we played. And one show in particular at the Roxy in LA. And I recall, I'm playing here, but up in that little balcony box was George Duke and Billy Cobham. And for all musicians out there who think you're badass, let George Duke and Billy Cobham sit in a little box and look down upon you and see what you do. And Billy came backstage afterwards and said, you was knocking the paint off them drums. That's a wonderful compliment to get from Billy Cobham. And then I shook his hand, and I realized he's got hands like a baby, like no calluses. Billy Cobham, no calluses. So I said, how do you do that? He said, well, I play with my fingers. He started showing me the technique he uses with his fingers on the sticks, which is very revolutionary. I don't really do it that much, but that's his thing, of course. I'm just a fan of these people, how they do what they do. Tommy was a genius cat, man, but he had a problem drinking. You know, you just take it too far. And he's an addict. He couldn't stop himself. And he had a lovely wife named Karen. He loved Karen. And whenever she was around, it was always groovy. And he'd like to go to the room next door to the Roxy, Rainbow Room, and everybody would fall in there. I don't care who you were. All the elite would fall up in there. And Tommy Bolin was a big shot. So all the rock era that people would come in and say hi to him if he's around. And he loved all that. And he was a big fan of Bowie. And I wasn't always that big into Bowie. But you ride in the back of a limousine with Tommy Bolin, you playing your Bowie music and pointing out why he loved David Bowie. Then I could start having more appreciation for David Bowie. But Tommy was really great until we went to New York. And we played the place I loved, which is called The Bottom Line. And in this place, Tommy couldn't hardly stand up. There were 2 pillars on the stage, and Tommy would lean back on the pillar, and he played pretty good, actually very good. But I could tell he wasn't at his normal thing. He was a little too buzzed, leaning on the pole and playing. And in New York City, it hit me that I couldn't do that anymore. So after that night, I left the band. I didn't want to play with Tommy where he was going to go to a place where he was drinking too much, couldn't control it. It wasn't a good place for me anymore. So I stopped after New York City. Because New York always tells you, or tells me, to bring out my best. And that wasn't my best with Tommy at that night in New York. Because, again, there was just too much influence. And don't forget, I'd gone through meditation and prayer where I could not have to do that in my life. I could live. I'd have to take drugs. I'd have to take all that to be happy. Because I learned the secret. The secret is don't judge yourself. People who judge themselves, you got to take drugs to mask yourself. You're insecure because you know you can never match up to your own ideas of things. But the truth is, you get rid of all that. trying to prove yourself. You just let God come through, and it's beautiful, and you can live. And now I'm on a whole new trajectory of life, having kids. I'm 67 years old. I often think about Tommy Bolin and his kindness. He was a very kind gentleman, and he liked me to be myself, and I could hit really hard, and I could be who I am. And he fulfilled a part of my fantasy of being around the rock and roll crowd, which I never had. I always thought the rock and roll crowd would be a fab crowd. Like with My Vision Orchestra, there were no groupies. With there were no groupies and that stuff, man, like I experienced with Tommy Bolin. Then I go, oh, this is what it's like. And then I kind of could say, oh, okay, that's nice. You could feel the love vibrations, you know? And girls would be turned on to that kind of music, because it'd be like more in the gut vital areas. The music would hit you. The music would hit you in that gut belly button area. Women would love that stuff. His shirts and his hair and his little, feather earrings. And he knew how to do it. And we were a badass band. Jeff Beck, very serious, very sensitive. Cancerian, like my dad, like Carlos. They know the unknown, and they touch upon the unknown. And at their best, they're bringing you the unknown. And I must say, I never had a chance to play the blues as hardcore as I had with Jeff Beck. There's a piece that we go into it. I use both bass drums, and it's just a massive sound. And the sound he makes on guitar is just nasty. And it really, it's like the blackest blues in the world. And we played it down in New Orleans. After they had all those hurricanes and that bad flood they had down there. And they were still suffering from it. And we played this blues. It was so deep with Jeff Beck and Rhonda and Jason on keyboards that the applause would come in waves. They were like getting it off of them. They were purging their blues. They were purging the sadness with this music that we put down. It was so deep with Jeff. And that's the power of Jeff Beck. And a lot of people may not even know that, but I know that from being on the stage with him. There's a heaviness that he can get into. And a distortion he can get into that just purge pain off you. The first gold album in my life was Wired, Jeff Beck, and his first gold album. Then he got gold with Truth, and then platinum with Wired, and then platinum with Truth and all that. But my attorney, manager, friend, Barry Platnick in New York, was the one that actually gave me my first gold album of Wired. First of all, we toured. It was My Vision Orchestra on Vision of the Emerald Beyond tour, and his Blow by Blow. So you had massive fans for Because We Ended as Lovers, playing the Stevie song. And I'd watch him almost every night play the Blow by Blow album. Diamond Dust and all that, with Bernard Purdy on drums. And the Mean Cat on bass, his name is escaping me, it'll come to me. And Max Middleton on piano, on Fender Rhodes and clavinet. And so I watched him, and I realized a lot of what was hitting good for Jeff was this kind of Stevie-ish changes with the funk of Bernard on the drum, with Jeff's elusive way of playing a melody and kind of being able to get in and out of things. You always kept interested because you weren't sure what he was going to do. But up under it, with these either pretty changes or funk of superstition type vibes going down. So then in making Wired, when I got there, he said, I need material. After we did the last My Vision Orchestra album, I flew from Hunky Chateau, France to London with my drum tech and manager friend, Greg DeJoven. Set up my white kit in London Air Studios with George Martin again, and Jeff Emmerich again, who I made my first album, Apocalypse, with. Here they are in my life again. But Jeff cut that soul alive. When you hear Lead Boots, that's all live. Mean. Just mean. Because we had rehearsed that one, so we kind of knew that one. But he told me he wanted more material. So while John McLaughlin's mixing at Trident Studios across town, Inner Worlds, and I go to visit him, there's a piano downstairs. So I went downstairs and wrote Sophie, Love is Green, Play With Me. No, Sophie, Play With Me, Come Dancing. Love is Green I already had. And I went and showed Jeff Sophie, Play With Me, and Love is Green. And he learned those songs. And then George Martin would want me to play those songs on the piano so he could hear the changes. And we'd learn them, we rehearse them, and we cut them. And it was really done quickly. And that became, I played on 5 songs on Wired. Wrote 4 of them, played on 5 of Lead Boots. And it was a fantastic experience. Okay, on Lead Boots, I'm just playing drums, starting the song off, playing like the drum groove. I want to do a drum intro. And on the playback, I heard, I'm already playing, you hear, because they hit the record button after I'm already in, so you're, and they kept it like that. It's like, wow, that's pretty brilliant. I never experienced anything like that, to hear all that coming at you at the very beginning, but they kept that stuff like that. It's just magic moments in the studio, magic moments. Again, Jeff Emmerich, George Martin, Beatle people, and more, much more. And Jeff, and Max, and all them people. So it was just a wonderful time. And I also watched Jeff then record on other songs, of mine. And then he would have a mastery of overdubbing, wanted to like do octaves of guitar parts, even bring the acoustic guitar in for a melody, and then go back to an electric sound, and then stop that and then go to a different kind of sound, even a different guitar on the same song. So I was like kind of dazzled by that, kind of this free reign of trying things. And you could always tell when it would click and when it wouldn't, and he would know it too. Because if you did like 10 takes something, out would immediately come what would be the record, like bam! It just hit you square in the head. So I'm really, really proud of Jeff Beck. And I'm proud of the fact that he stays hungry like a kid like I am. When I'm with him, I know we could go on the road for 2.5 years, and I know every show would be consistent. Because I'd be important to want to hit hard, even if I was tired or sick. I hit hard. I had to match the sound of the Marshalls. 2 Marshalls here, a Marshall back there, and also all throughout the hall and the sound on the stage. Amplifiers, PA system coming back at you with the sound. So you gotta really kick it. And I knew I kick it, Jeff would kick it. Every show, it didn't matter. That's the one thing about Jeff Beck. Come rain or shine, he gonna bring it. And I love that about him. For me to play with Jeff Beck at that time in my life in these last few years, it's been freeing for me to have his chances to bash like that. And in my mind, I can be like with Hendrix, with Jeff. I can be like with Clapton and all that 60s that came down I missed because I was in high school or whatever I was. I'm gonna revive it all and bring a new spin to it all again. Fantastic for me. Healing for me, revolutionary for me, to play Madison Square Garden with Jeff Beck, and then see all the people rush to the front of the stage who are Jeff's fans and want to feel the passion and the fire of that music. And I'm splashing the hi-hats hard, hitting the cymbals hard, and feeling it, and he's in it, and his hair is all sweaty, and it's just like a moment of love. And the people in the front, you can see in their faces just that glee of like, this is their witnessing history. We all know we're witnessing history. You play a guy like Jeff Beck, you're playing history. So I'm very caught up in the emotion of that. Caught up in the emotion of what it sounds like burning metal and thrashing trash cans and squealing guitars and all the things he can do. And all of a sudden will come a magic, beautiful moment on a magic carpet ride, coming out of nowhere. And his fans expect that and they love that about him. So I'm a fan. John McLaughlin calls Jeff Beck his favorite guitar player. That's saying something. One of the highlights of my life is playing Isle of Wight, one of the last places Jimi Hendrix played, and doing tribute to Jimi Hendrix playing Little Wing with Jeff Beck, and me singing and playing drums. That was a very highlight moment for me, and on that whole tour, being able to sing Little Wing with Jeff on guitar is a highlight of my life. And it took Jeff almost like 4 to 5 to 6 months for you ever want to play it live. We practiced it, and he played in his back room for like 6 months before he ever decided to even want to play it live. That's how I knew it meant a lot. And when he did play it live, after 6 months messing around, it was on. I mean, he brought us to Little Wing that was like, even made Jimmy go, uh-oh. Even Jimmy and Heaven go, wait a minute, stop, I can't talk to you cats. Jeff's playing Little Wing. Because Jeff put some stuff on Little Wing, man. It's incredible. If you watch the footage of Isle of Wight, him playing that song, you'll see what I'm saying. For any guitar players out there, any musicians out there, people who love Hendrix, watch our version of that. It's pretty incredible. So, and I also love Rhonda Smith. I call her the Earth Mother. And she's very grounding. And you can see why Prince loved her. You can see why Jeff loves her. Anyone who plays with Rhonda loves her because she's just got that Earth Mother thing. Can ground the drumming and the guitar with the mother love. And you feel the music. I'll tell you a Prince story. I had just recorded Elton John. Yes, Elton John, on a duet for Aretha Franklin called Through the Storm, to do Elton's parts After Aretha had sung her parts in Detroit, I went to Sunset Sound on Sunset. And I'm in my studio having a great time recording Elton. He's singing great. And now not only is he singing great, he's being so genuine of spirit. We go to the piano. We write a couple songs on the piano. He says, keep him. I said, keep him? He says, keep him. I said, keep him? He says, keep him. Like, okay. I don't even know what happened to those songs there, but that's how he was. We wrote some cool stuff. He's like, just keep it, man. You love it, keep it. I said, okay. Then after I wrap the session up, next door is Prince, in with Morris Day from the time. And I met Prince early on when he was touring with Rick James, but hadn't seen him since then. So I don't know how the good Lord worked it out for me to go over and meet him, but somehow I asked somebody, or somebody said something about me being there, and he was like, have Narada come in. And I came in. And when I went in there, he was sitting at his console with a guitar, looking beautiful, immaculate. Humidifiers pumping steam because he had a cold. And Morris is there in a chair. Morris Day. And you could tell they have a lot of love. And here's Prince, I sit down, working the tape recorder machines with pedals on his feet to hit record with his feet and stop with his foot. So he could hit record. Shake, shake it, shake, shake, shake it, shake, shake it, do, shake, shake, shake it, stop. Record. Shake, shake it, do, shake, go, shake it, shake, stop. So I'm watching this go on, and then he goes to the song, and then he stops. Then he says, "Okay, let's go outside." So we go outside, and there's a hoop. I'm wearing red Tommy Bolin shoes. He's got on 7-inch boots, heels, 7 inches. I mean, like, really, you can look at him and tell they're like 7 inches. And I don't know what kind of boot or shoe that Morris had on, but it wasn't that. It was like more normal, maybe a Beatle boot. So then Prince wants to play a game of 21 points in basketball. So we play basketball, and literally, this guy, Prince, with 7-inch heels, hair in his eyes, barely looking at the net, barely even looking up, with a cold, got 21 points in a matter of minutes. Morris Day got 16 points. I had 13 points. But it was over in 10 minutes. And he's joking at my Tom McCann red shoes. Oh, yeah, I see you wear your red Tom McCanns today. Swish. Oh, Morris, I thought you were cool. Swish. It was all swish. So the story about you hear about Charlie Murphy with the basketball stories and Eddie and all that is really, really true. It's painful to admit that he was that good at everything, but he really was. There you go. Prince is coming to my heart really strong now that he's in heaven, because I'm one of the few cats that want to embrace his funk. A lot of the funk, you got to be a drummer to be able to embrace it. Like Sheila can do it, and other Michael Bland and drummers who are around who really love him. We can all do it. But you got to get into the funk, because the funk is really where he lives. He's very melodic and got the European thing going on strong. But without the funk aspect, it ain't happening. Without the James Brown, it ain't happening. And even James gave me a great compliment. Said, Jason, you's one of the only ones keeping the funk alive. Say same thing with Prince. You's one of the only ones keeping the funk alive. You hear Earthquake. Just listen to a song like Earthquake. Who can put together a song like Earthquake? Nobody. Nobody. So I know that. So I keep a picture of Prince over there where he's making the water shoot out of the guitar, just showing his completely off-the-wall behavior to shock somebody because he's that nutty and freaky to do some stuff like that. And that's why I love him in his music. He just push any button that he wants to push at any time. So in my heart of hearts, I as an artist want to be able to push the buttons and let things come as God would do. So that when I'm dead or I'm laying on a street unconscious or in my bed sleeping, if I hear something, I know it's beyond me what came through me. That's what makes me the happiest. Prince inspires that in me. A lot of great artists inspire that in me, like Stevie. Stevie can tap that. Stevie's one who inspired Prince to go there and live there. Prince was never underrated to me. He had a really fast vibrato that cats could say, well, maybe that's a little different, a little unusual. It had to grow on you. And through the years, it got better and better and better and grew on everybody. You know, you're used to Hendrix's whoo, kind of slower vibrato. But Prince would be fast. It'd be like a faster twinge in his vibrato. So he had to kind of get used to it. But he got better and grew, and then got with Your Purple Rain and grow on to that thing he did with the George Harrison tribute at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Tom Petty and George Harrison's son. And he's falling back on the crowd and they're pushing him back forward. He got it all worked out with his red hat on. He went on and did As My Guitar Gently Weeps and burned everybody intentionally on that stage as a guitar player at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And put it down so incredible that he could tell his sister Tyka, I've done everything I want to do. As a performer, as a player, as a recording artist, he had done everything he wanted to do. He kind of lost his will to live a bit. Early on, he recorded everything. Like I Want to Be Your Lover album and Sexy Dance and all that, that's all him. And the first album For You, and then going on. Even like Sign of the Times could still be him, playing almost everything. But he loved other people. He used them. He used his band, and his band could tell you what they were part of. But he had his vision so strong for every instrument, what he wanted, he just go and do it. Maybe around the time of 1999, he'd bring the cats in a little bit more. Maybe. You have to ask them about that. They'll be honest about it. But really, that's him. Prince, we don't talk about it, is a genius with the machines. You don't talk about it. He was a genius at taking the Linen drum machine and making all the sounds like... You never heard that kind of thing before. Taking a machine and just like detuning it so weirdly into funk, into pop, into whatever he was doing. And playing with it like a dolphin in the water. He just made everything look so easy. Because he had a gift. Like Hendrix knew feedback, Prince knew how to just mess up machines and make them sing and do what he wanted them to do. When we were like just like kind of new to the whole thing. I had an upper hand because I was onto it. But a lot of the other producers in the world were like, what is he doing? When you listen to those records, you can hear he was just really, really ahead of his time. He was not afraid of anything. A story, I'll tell you. Touring with Rick James. He made up in his mind he was going to make the best of that tour. And I saw him in Chicago. So he comes out opening the show for Rick James, determined to steal the show, and he does. He has Lisa come down off the keyboards, lay on the floor, the strobe lights go on, and she's laying there, and he's got like buttless pants. You know what I mean? Like where you can see the cheeks. So he's flashing his cheeks to the beat in the strobe lights. You know, and the girls are screaming. Yeah, but now they're really, really screaming, right? Then he jumps down on this chick, man, and starts tearing her clothes off. Literally tearing her clothes off in the strobe lights and sucking on her titties. In the show. What's Rick James gonna do? He had dancing joints and all that. But what's he gonna do? I met Prince that night. I shook his hand in the stairwell, backstage. I said, so what are you gonna end up playing more and more of? You play everything. He was like really humble. He's like, oh, probably guitar. I said, okay. Well, nice to meet you. See you around. Because I was on tour too. That's the first time I met him. Tearing a chick's clothes up on the stage and the girls screaming. Somehow girls screaming in Chicago is a different kind of sound. Because they know real life in Chicago. They got snow and sleet and all that. So when they scream. And to see him doing the butt cheeks in the strobe lights and sucking this chick's carry on with the music just like thrashing like that with that Bobby on the drums and the whole band just tight like that. It was like no mercy, man. He had no mercy at all. And then we heard how Rick had asked him to take a picture with his mother and he wouldn't do it. And Rick took offense. So then all the daggers came out. And they really then didn't like each other. Just the day Rick died, he didn't like Prince. Yeah. And Rick is a friend of mine. I played on Rick's Street Songs album at the plant. And hung out with him a lot. And watched him work and record. And when you go in the room with Rick James, he's a powerhouse. And he's strong, and he's mighty. He got the braids, and glitter sometimes in the braids. And the really short nails, he'd bite his nails. I never saw him bite them, but I could see they're really short. He's a very intense guy, and tall. And they would be playing the music. He'd be like, loud. Next song. Next song. I don't stop. Next song. They're all powerful pieces like that, coming at you like that, loud and powerful. And then the vocal come on, but it'd be a big sound and loud. See, almost like an assault on you. And he liked it like that. And it'd be like 10 songs in a row, like that. Maybe a ballad would be the ninth song. But they're all intense. He was an intense guy. I'd never seen anything like that. Like Prince is more sweet and beautiful. Rick was more like, bam! And I saw it also when I opened his show in Buffalo, New York, in his hometown. I don't know how the good Lord did it, but he had me open the show for Rick James, my band. And we did a good job, but guess what? I'm up on a riser on my drums, and the lights are like right on me. So they're literally burning me. The lights were literally burning me. And I'm just dying of heat and exhaustion, playing and singing and carrying on for his crowd, which I really like, just like, they're like sponges, they're sucking everything, just like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. And I'm giving everything I can, and these lights are burning me, physically burning me. And I'm thinking, how is this guy gonna come out here and put a show on these lights? It's just so hot in here. And he did. I saw it again. He has supernatural power. Rick James. Supernatural power to be so strong under that heat, and all his fans just going crazy, and he just knew how to work them and whoop them, and he never got tired. At least I couldn't tell. He just kept going and going strong. So I'm a fan of Rick. I'm a fan of Rick James. And if I'm honest, my first hit, I Don't Want Nobody Else Dance With You, when they said, you better have a hit, we're gonna drop you, who did I rip off? Who was the hottest sound at the time I could jump onto and had enough music in it and disco in it? Rick James, you and I. Had enough of the beat, okay. Had music, had live horns. Oh, I can use live horns. Call Randy Brecker, Michael Brecker, and David Sanborn. Get them on my record, because Rick was making horns popular again. So Rick was a mean cat, man. He had the music down. And he also had a rock guy. He played a band with Neil Young, which a lot of people don't know. So, yeah, I'm a Rick James fan. And then he would be like this with me. He'd say, if I could play drums the way you play, I'd play everything. You know, I said, okay. He said, no, if I could do what you do, I would just do everything. I said, okay. He was like that. Very passionate. Very passionate. Very loving. But you wouldn't want to cross him. You wouldn't want to cross him. I met Carlos Santana through Mahavishnu John McLaughlin in '73. And Carlos would be staying at John McLaughlin's house with his wife. They would stay there. And I'd be so surprised that there's Carlos Santana in John's house. And they were the best of friends. They were brothers. They were on the meditation path together. They would pray and meditate together, eat food together, play music together. It wasn't long after they started recording an album called Love, Devotion, Surrender together. And that's how we became friends, that he was just such a down, real person, at the same time very, very regal, wise, been around the world as Carlos Santana, but at the same time very humble. So it's kind of a paradox. Genius of ideas, very humble, very approachable. Genius of ideas, very approachable. So that's what I get from Carlos. And I've learned when I'm with him to be very quiet. When I'm very quiet with him, then he will start, and the flow of consciousness will come, and you'll learn things that are just so from different planets, different worlds that we need to be thinking about at this time. He has all those diamonds inside of him, all that wisdom inside of him. And if you don't block it by talking too much, he'll share it with you. So I don't block it, I let him just go. And then out of it will come all of his ideas. Tremendous ideas. He's got such a vast imagination, and he's seen so much. Like he saw John McLaughlin play with Tony Williams in New York before John was really, really even huge. And he saw that, and he saw Tony Williams' foot on the hi-hat going crazy, and all the fills and things he heard Tony play, how it affected his life, how he was so big with Santana, knocking the Beatles off #1, Santana did. But yet, his heart was down in the Bleecker Street area seeing John McLaughlin with Tony Williams, and how that affected him musically at the same time, which then made him go into Caravanserai, where Clive Davis would say, ain't no hit here. Because Carlos was like, musically, spiritually, what he was seeing Tony Williams and John McLaughlin get into, and took the whole band that way. So Carlos is something else. Carlos is really like a fierce warrior with warrior paint. When Carlos and Hannah would come to town, I lived in a little house. Up in a little loft I lived. Greg would be downstairs, I'd be upstairs in a little loft. And Carlos and Hannah would come to town, and about 8 in the morning, or even earlier, 7 in the morning, he'd come to my loft and jump on my bed and wake me up. Just jump. I'd be like, who's in my bed? It'd be Carlos. When I wake me up, because he was excited to be in town. So we'd get up, go have breakfast, go see Guru, play tennis, whatever. He was excited. He was really like a big kid, full of fun, but excitement.
How old were you?
Which you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that. You would think he's more like kind of cool. No, he's not. He's like jumping on my bed. Get up. And then we'd play in Guru's parades. They have these floats, big floats going down the street. And Carlos and I'd be on a float playing music. I'm playing keyboards, he'd playing guitar. Or I'd be playing drums, he'd be playing guitar. So all that kind of experience we had together, just to grow together. Very proud of Carlos achieving with Smooth the second biggest record of all time. The number one record, biggest record of all time is Chubby Checker the Twist. It's the biggest record of all time. The second biggest record of all time is Smooth, Carlos Santana. So I razz him about that, tease him about that. Of course he loves it. But he made a great thing happen. So I'm very, very proud of him on all levels.